Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and discuss about the key pointers for the topic of modulus that you must have on your fingertips to make sure that hardly you are making any kind of mistakes whenever there is a question of modulus in front of you. So please note that the modulus chapter is pretty small, so there are not a lot of key pointers over here. Only with these two key pointers you can solve almost any type of questions involving modulus functions. The first type of thing that you must have on your fingertips is how to sketch any given modulus graphs. If you are good with how to sketch any given modulus graphs, you have practiced it enough that under 15 seconds maximum you can sketch any graphs. That is going to give you a lot of advantage. The first advantage is I have seen quite some questions in your past papers where they ask you to compulsory sketch the graph of a modulus function. It could be of any type. Let's say a minus kx plus b. Okay, there could be any kind of values of a, k, b, or maybe there are no values. You just need to draw the graph in terms of a, k, and b. So if you have practiced something like this already, then in the examination you won't have any kind of issues. Let's say if I talk about some of the common type of questions that you can expect, let's say 2x minus 1, or maybe let's say y is equals to 1 minus 3x, or maybe you can have a shifts in the y direction plus 1, minus 2, etc. So if you are already well versed on how to sketch the graphs of the modulus functions, then if you are asked something like this in the examination, you can always nail it. Now, what is the second advantages of knowing the graphs and practicing it enough that you can sketch it under 15 seconds? That is going to be with respect to solving inequalities that is involving modulus functions. Something like what you are seeing over here. In almost all the papers, whenever the modulus functions are being tested, you will see that they usually ask the inequalities with respect to the modulus functions. Now I've seen that there are a lot of different ways that students like to solve the inequalities, which does not involve graphical approach. But if you ask me specifically, graphical approach is the best method. What is the reason behind that? If we are solving with any other methods other than the graph, you will always have a problem understanding which inequality sign to choose. X less than something, x greater than something, or x is lying in between two things. You might not have a proper idea for the trickier questions that which inequality sign should I use, and mostly you'll be guessing and hope that it's correct. Or sometimes I've also noticed that the whatever approach that you're following other than the graphical method, if I ask a student that why did you choose this way of writing your answer, why not this or maybe this way, then they are not just able to answer it. So if you want to be someone who can understand from where the inequality signs are coming, you need to be good with the graphical method. And that is what I was talking about, the second benefit. If you are someone who is able to draw the graphs very quickly, then using that speed in the graphical approach for this type of solving inequalities questions, you can visually see how to put the sign of inequality. I'll demonstrate this in the next video when I solve this example. But then, whenever you are dealing with the graphical approach, you need to be very, very cautious with the gradients that you are plotting. For example, if I'm having a modulus graph with a gradient of 1 and then the straight line graph with a gradient of 2, I know that my line is going to be more steep as compared to my modulus lines. So it's going to be something like this. Let's say if a modulus graph is going to look like this, I don't know where exactly my straight line is going to pass, but let's say if my straight line is going to be steeper, it's going to look like this. If it passes from here, I know that this straight line has to be steeper as compared to this line. Let's say if I'm drawing less steeper line by mistake, then you can see that there are two solutions that I'll be looking for. But then if I'm looking into my steepness properly, I know that there will be only one solution because my this graph is going like this and this graph is going like this. They can never intersect. And in this case, I know that there is only one solution. So graphical approach is great if you are taking care about the gradients properly. You always ask yourself, depending on the gradients, on how the graph should look like. If you're having all of these things on your fingertips, that's my guarantee. Almost any kind of questions with respect to modulus, you will be able to solve very comfortably. I'll see you in the next video where I'll be giving you an example by solving this question.